This summer on Roblox, we had a new huge game release called Grow a Garden 2. As the name suggests, it's a sequel to Grow a Garden, which holds the title for second most popular Roblox game ever. As expected, the sequel ended up also becoming very popular, reaching over 800,000 players during the release days. That even made it the most played game on Roblox at the time. But things ended up going a lot more rough than anyone could have expected. Just 2 months later since the release, the player count has dropped from hundreds of thousands of players down to tens of thousands, which makes it about a 90% player loss. But the way the player count went down is pretty unusual. You see, the game had a high player count the entire time since the release, up until very recently. This is when the game's player count suddenly went down, going nearly below 40,000 players even. And the reason behind it are bots. The game was heavily botted to the point where every full server was just bots upon bots. The bots were hiding the real player count because they were replacing the real players. The visit count, on the other hand, can give a better idea on how fast the real players were leaving the game. But why did so many people quit it so quickly? Probably the biggest problem with this game is the lack of new content. This is pretty much everything that has been added in a bit more than 2 months that the game has been out for. Usually you'd get just a few things per week, but there has also been a case where they did not add any new actual content for 3 weeks. But what happened to updating weekly like the original Grow a Garden? That was the original plan. It even had an event like how it usually is with Grow a Garden. But the update ended up bad and got heavily disliked by the players. And because of that, Grow a Garden 2 switched from weekly events to just adding whatever and whenever. First thing was a strawberry sniper, which is pretty much useless unless you fight other players. Then they added a turtle pet, a picture frame crate, and lastly, Mega Moon. Why did I say lastly? Because that is when they basically began to make weekly updates again, just even smaller. It actually was somewhat fine at first. We got the Auctioneer, which was not bad, and later even got a 4th of July update, which was fine. A week later, we also got 3 new plants, one of them being the secret Eclipse Bloom and a new pet. It wasn't much, but at least the quality of the plants, and especially the Eclipse event, was actually kinda good. But that's when the game went from being somewhat okay to straight up terrible. The game only got new content a whole 3 weeks later, and this is exactly why they removed the weekly events for updates. The original game has always gotten weekly updates. This means players have expectations from the game, right? By removing these events, players no longer have the same kind of expectations. And this way, the people behind the game can put less effort into it. And this has only gotten all the more noticeable in the recent weeks. So the reason why there wasn't any new content for 3 weeks is because they were making what they called the biggest update ever, as well as admin abuse. For the first time in a month, the game had a new event to hype up the update and the first ever admin abuse, or admin party as they called it. The admin abuse wasn't anything crazy. It did, however, show the state of the game, sort of. Because even with admin abuse, it wasn't able to break its own player count record. But what about the so-called biggest update ever? It's pretty much a reskin of the entire game, but with stealing becoming even bigger part of it. Most people weren't big fans of it, and funny enough, the update caused a pretty big fall in daily visit count, which means that even more people quit the game. But what came after it did not make things better. A weekly update added just 2 new pets, and another week later the only real new content was a pay-to-win feature, to which I will get a bit later. And while working on the video, the game got a new muffin baking event, which actually received its own event page. And this update was bad. On Twitter, Grow a Garden posted a changelog which makes this update look really big, but trust me, it isn't. The whole point of the update is to bake muffins. You need them to get bags, eggs, and crates. To bake the muffins, you'll need some of the new stuff like wheat and sugarcane that you plant, as well as eggs from the chicken pet. That's it, the entire update. But what makes it worse are the rewards. This goodie bag has a 1 in 1,000 chance to get you this plant, but to get 1,000 bags, you'd need 1,000 muffins, which is extremely hard to achieve. So, how good could this plant possibly be, do you think? It's an epic rarity plant. I am not kidding. They are legit putting an epic rarity plant as one of the grand prizes of this update. You could buy coconut in the seed shop, and it would be better. But while the lack of new content is a problem, it is not the only problem. There is a reason why Grow a Garden 2 is being called greedy, pay to win. When Grow a Garden 2 released, it was actually pretty fine, but as time went on, and especially in the last 4 weeks, the game has gotten a lot more pay to win, to the point where you literally cannot win without spending Robux. Let me show you. The first update I've mentioned earlier had pet server teleporters, which were removed and re-added but made cheaper, the first controversial pay-to-win product. Robux seed packs have been here since release, but these 3 are newer. The super one costs 800 Robux, yet has high chance to give you something like a mushroom or other useless plants. The Fall Harvest event has a Robux egg which contains a 1 in 1,000 Kitsune pet, which also, funny enough, is the only secret rarity pet in the entire game. Remember how I mentioned auctions, right? Well, they ended up adding Robux option to some of the things being sold, and then a whole 6 Robux-only slots which can contain like anything in the game, really. And finally, the pay-to-win feature they added as a weekly update is called Garden Cards. This might be the worst one yet because it contains like actually just anything in the game, even worse than auction. To show just how pay-to-win the game is, let's take the Muffin update as example. I've already told you about the useless 1 in 1,000 plant, but what about the pets? There is a 1 in 2,000 pet called Muffin Man, which actually does have a pretty good ability. But the twist is that you need 4 instead of 3 muffins, and you get 2 instead of 3 eggs, basically makes the eggs twice as expensive than the other 2 rewards. But another twist is that this also happens to be the hardest to make muffin, because it needs Atlantic giant pumpkin, which takes hours to regrow. So that basically makes this pet impossible to get as a free-to-play player. And on top of that, the first thing you'll see in the Robux shop is a rainbow mega version of the Muffin Man, something that is even more impossible to get without spending Robux. But besides adding pay-to-win features, they have been screwing free-to-play players in other ways as well. The Fall Harvest shop plants seem fine, but the best 2 plants have lower odds than you'd expect. Starfruit is the best plant in normal Grow a Garden, with the chance of 1 in 833. The only super rarity plant in the event is nearly 2 times rarer than that, being 1 in 1.4 thousand, and you can even see the sudden huge drop in odds between Venom Spitter and Conifer Cone. But that's not all. What about the pets? The rarest release pet was Raccoon, 1 in 417. Fall Harvest event has its own super rarity pet that randomly spawns the Shadow Dragon. But the odds are 1 in 21.5 thousand. Good luck finding it without one of these. Even the mythic pets in the event are rarer than the raccoon. But anyway, what was the point of events in Grow a Garden? To add more content that players can keep using even after the event ends. Grow a Garden 2 decided to not do that. Instead, they introduced Magic Mails, the item that lets you send event items to the base game, and those mails have rarities, rare, legendary, and super, so a legendary one cannot send a mythic or super rarity items. What this essentially means is that once the event ends, everything you had will be gone unless you Magic Mail it. How hard could that be? Well, if let's say you got the Muffin Man, you'd need the Super Magic Mail. The odds of it stocking are 1 in 6,667. Since restocking takes 5 minutes, you'd on average have to wait about 23 days for it to stock. Or, yet again, you can just pay to win the item. All of this really just shows how greedy the people behind the game is. Ever since release, it kept getting worse and worse, and now we're at the point where you simply can never win if you don't spend any money. And this is exactly why people have quit it, from over 800,000 real players to less than 40,000 now, all in a span of 2 months and a bit. Even the brain rot games weren't falling off this quickly. And thing is, the original Grow a Garden had something similar happen when updates were adding barely any new content. But even an update like this is better than this one, which is really impressive. But you know what happened to Grow a Garden? the Easter update. They began promoting Jandel as the Grow a Garden savior and actually made a good update. The reality is, they are always capable of making good updates, they just choose to never do it. And I feel like we might see something similar happen with Grow a Garden 2. But the thing is, it is too late. The game can never go back anywhere close to the same real player count it had no matter what. The amount of new players joining this game is much lower, people are mass quitting it, and the amount of dislikes per likes is only increasing. The game is just simply getting completely destroyed by the greed of the owners, and the real player count will continue to fall further down. Thanks for watching this video. Make sure to like and subscribe if you enjoyed it. That helps the channel. You can watch one of these videos while waiting for a new one. They are good too. You can join my Discord server or play our game with the links in description, and I will see you soon.